Thank you, everybody. I'd like to say before I start that if you've heard me on the radio and you envision something different than this, just stay with that, especially if it's cooler. Mayor Bobst, Chief Stillman, Academy graduates, family, and neighbors, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you on such a great day for our community. Your commitment to this program is an investment and, as the mayor said, a celebration of civic life. You can choose to exercise your citizenship in many ways, be it through politics, be it through faith-based outreach, philanthropy, or through a multi-week program like this, demystifying the police a little bit, providing a space for education, discussion about some serious challenges that our society faces, and more broadly, encouraging communication and community. These last activities I mentioned are some of the most important for me, creating a space for education and discussion, encouraging communication and community. And my remarks today will explore some ideas on doing this and why they're important to law enforcement, to journalists, but to all of us, really. This kind of program resonates with me both personally and professionally. On a personal level, I'm an Eagle Scout, raised with civic responsibility and active faith life as cornerstones of my identity. I'm also the son of a peace officer who worked for the California Department of Corrections for nearly 2 decades, giving me a familiarity with law enforcement from a very young age. On a professional level, journalists at our core are supposed to be advocates and servants of the people. My duty is to ask questions, tell stories, learn, share what I've learned, so that the greater public can make informed decisions about their lives and know more about the reality around us all. But it's hard to foster communication and community when there are so many forces working against that covenant between the public and the press, especially. From the media business side, as we know from the decimation of the plain dealer news staff, it's harder to make money in the news business. Changes in technology, audience patterns, the way politicians, governments, companies control their messaging, and many other factors have put pressure on the business of journalism. Some outlets shift toward clickbait, more cat videos, or more extreme commentary packaged as straight news in an attempt to keep some revenue, but at what cost? Part of the cost is in even lower levels of trust and respect for journalists, and lower levels of trust for the work produced by those journalists. Then more people decry the press, which causes more distrust. It creates a tougher and tougher situation to remedy. What does this have to do with a citizen police academy? Distrust and suspicion are contagious. Insulation and isolation can be contagious. The more we distrust what the papers say, what the guy on the radio says, what our neighbors say, it can be harder to strengthen our communities and tackle multifaceted, complex issues like opioid abuse, or recognize mental health issues and trends, or interact with first responders. When we stop listening, it's hard to hear alarm bells. So much of my job depends on trust to varying degrees. It's incredibly difficult to speak with someone about a challenging moment in their lives without their buy-in, and it's similar for law enforcement. For many people, the most interactions that they have with police are in times of stress or emotion or trauma. That's why it's important to build bridges with the public before those traumatic events occur. And our community is fortunate to have those bridges made stronger by programs just like this. Not all communities have these connections, though the issues of communication and earning the benefit of the doubt in an interaction are somewhat common, no matter who you are. I believe giving the benefit of the doubt is an underrated and challenging aspect to our interactions with each other, both professionally and personally. In an interaction, if we begin from a place of distrust or suspicion, then everything that stems from that interaction will be influenced by that distrust. On a practical level, when I need to speak to somebody about a sensitive topic or even a run-of-the-mill update, I gauge the person's comfort level usually first in dealing with me as a journalist with a big microphone right in their face, but also in dealing with me as a public radio journalist and what they may know about public radio. And then finally, what they think of me as a person. I offer little tidbits to show I've done my research. I offer anecdotes about me and my previous work to show the quality, hopefully, of my craft. And I try to be very transparent with the purpose of the interview and what the final product is going to look like. I don't produce the work in secret. I don't want to keep the end result from people because my job is to serve the public in public, but also because being transparent helps build trust. I've had a tendency in my time in Northeast Ohio, about 5 years, to seek out difficult topics and try to produce series that present and challenge diverse opinions within them. For our purposes, I'd like to talk briefly about a project called Our Land. In the wake of the death of Tamir Rice, also of a woman suffering a mental health episode, Tanisha Anderson, and the consent decree for police reform, Cleveland was being mentioned in the same breath as Ferguson or Baltimore. How do you report on this without alienating huge portions of the public? How do you find a way to engage members of the community with vastly different experiences, concerns, and perceptions about these individual cases, but also the relationship more broadly between the public and law enforcement? My attempt to do this rested in the form and function of the reporting. I focused the topic on community policing because though it has many forms, it's a proactive strategy meant to increase interactions between the police and the public, just like we're doing right here. I decided from the beginning I wanted to talk with authentic and diverse individuals. The head of community policing with Cleveland PD, the head of the police union, the head of the Black Officers Association, the Latino Officers Group, residents of the Cadell neighborhood where Tamir Rice was from, inner city mothers, gang members, a pastor, an activist, a college student, high school students. It's a very diverse list of types of people, but every interview started the same way with the same two questions. What should community policing look like, and how far are we from it? Not every person is going to be satisfied with my work as a journalist, but I take great pains to truly try to understand and convey someone's perspective. In this project, I needed to build trust quickly and show my ability to understand those perspectives. And the keys to my exchanges with the controversial head of a police union or a former gang member or a resident sitting on her porch were the same. Step one, I listened. Step two, I showed empathy, and I tried to demonstrate something called cultural literacy, recognizing the individuals and their perspectives in context. Also, I asked for clarification if I didn't understand something. This seems like a very basic thing, but you may be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't, about the numbers of journalists or non-journalists who steam ahead without pausing to ask questions and get the fuller context. One man I met, Suleiman, had been a gang member who now intervenes to bring kids out of gang life. His passion, pain, his hunger radiated from him. His neighborhood craves safety, opportunity, and hope like ours or any others do. He told me he felt profiled by his dress, by his taste in music, by the way he walks. He said, quote, "I want the American pie, but just give me some of the crust. I'll put it in the microwave and do something with it." Yeah. He laughed at that, but his point came across. He saw distrust of police contributing to a lack of safety, which leads to more suspicion, which leads to less openness, which leads to fewer jobs, which leads to the loss of the American dream for him. Communicating is a two-way street, but sometimes you need to meet a person more on their ground than yours. It's the exchange of ideas that's the purpose, or at least it's supposed to be. It's not about passing judgment. You don't have to agree on everything, but if the exchange is in good faith, then each interaction after that should become easier because now you have a common bond, a common language to deal with each other. This is especially important for first responders who face traumatic events and real danger every single day. The hard work of bridge building must happen before the blue and red lights start flashing. What is important for quality journalism is important for law enforcement, is important for our community in general. We need to listen more. We need to seek out and appreciate context of a complicated world. And we need to resist isolating ourselves from different opinions, different neighbors, or different professions. The stronger the community is between the public and the press, the public and law enforcement, the press and law enforcement, the stronger our community will be as a whole. Congratulations on your investment in our community, and thank you very much.